everybody skips warm-ups. Why? That's because they're like junk drawers, kind of like random stuff that just seems nice, but it doesn't fit anywhere else. And that's why most warm-ups are literally leftovers you don't actually need. And the thing is that real athletes do prepare their bodies for training and performance. And they warm up using the moves they're going to use in their workout. That's the most important prep warm-up principle across every discipline that you need to understand. That is, prep your body using the moves that you're going to do in your workout. Now, today, I'm going to show you how this works using my own prep from yesterday's workout. Now, I'm starting my prep here with the twisting bear, and that's because I'm going to be using a variation of it in my strength work later. Now, it's similar to how lifters will warm up with a lighter bar and then add plates later, or like a baseball pitcher will start off with light throws working up to full power. It's the same movement, it's just a different intensity. And also, I don't want you to think that your warm-up should be the exact movements that I'm showing here. And remember, I'm prepping these movements because I'll be doing variations of them later in my workout. Now, what I'm doing here with the twisting bear is I'm checking in with my shoulders and my spine. Basically, like, do my shoulders want more pushing today, or maybe more rotation? Or do I need to slow this way down and just own the position? So the thing is that when I pause, I'm not resting. I'm getting information about how my body is feeling. And this is what I can use later for when I start adding intensity to the movement. The thing is that prep isn't about getting sweaty. That's not the point at all. It's about finding out what feels solid and then what needs attention. It's that information that we want that's going to help us later for when we get into more challenging movements in our workout. Again, pushing harder and really loading the position comes later in the workout session. Now, I do realize it can be tough to figure out what to do for your warm-up prep, and that's why we have a free resource for you called the Mobility Boost to help you figure out what's best for you in your prep work. You can find the download link in the description. Now, next off is the monkey, and specifically, I'm using a long leg monkey. And the reason why is because today I'm going to be focusing on a flow pattern, and it has Cossack squats in there. So I want to make sure that I'm good and ready for that. So just like the bear, I'm checking in, I'm spending time here in each position to see where my body is. And rather than go side to side, right and left in this, I'm sticking to one side for at least a couple reps, and in this case, maybe 4 reps here, just to notice how the range of motion is changing from the previous repetition, or not changing. And that's the key point here. I'm getting awareness, or I should say feedback here into how it's going. Now, specifically, the long leg monkey is going to be giving me good feedback for my hips. And I'm paying attention to how evenly I can shift into the position and what's going on deep in my hip. Now, as well, this is great feedback for my ankle. Ever since I broke my ankle all those years ago, I have to really ease into the ankle flexion. So the long leg monkey also lets me focus on the base leg ankle in order to work deeper on the in range so that I'm not holding myself back later in my session. Now, as I mentioned, whenever I pause, I'm getting better information for later, and that's because it's exactly the range and position I'll need for the Cossack squats that I'll be doing later. And I'm looking to feel for any restrictions and spend some extra time there to help open things up. Because today is my locomotion flow day, I'm also doing Frogger because the basic bodyweight squat is the foundation for initiating transitions in and out of that squat position. So Frogger is where I like to start pausing even more. And it's going to help me for those squats later to see exactly where I'm at. And the Frogger really preps all of that and more. And so it's not just about that squat position because it's going to prep my shoulders, my arms, and my wrists for all the hand loading that I'll be doing later in my flow work. Now, right now, if I hang out in a position and I'm breathing, I'll be checking those positions and I'm seeing what range I have, what feels comfortable. And especially when I'm going in and out of the Frogger, I'm asking myself, how comfortable am I doing the move? Do I feel stable? Am I rushing to get out of the position? Do I feel any clicks, or do I notice anything about my hips or my lower back? And this is really important because this tells me a lot about how everything's connecting today. And if something doesn't feel quite right, I'll change the shape. So maybe I'll widen my stance in the squat. Maybe I'll shift my hand position for the Frogger setup. So what I'm saying is that I'm not forcing myself into a version that doesn't work for me today. I'm finding the version that gives me the information that I need so that later in my session, I'll be able to comfortably get into the squat position or load my arms as I transition in my groundwork. The crab is the last movement in my prep. It's really important for today's session in that it helps me prep for the transitions that I'm going to be doing in my groundwork, especially when I'm on one arm, supporting myself as I move through transitions. I'm paying attention here to how comfortable I am loading my hands behind me, also how my body feels when my weight is shifting side to side. I also like to experiment here with the height of my hips, the position of my legs, the position of my arms, position of my shoulders. And that way I can really see if something feels off. Maybe my wrists are tight today. Today they actually weren't. Where I was having some issues actually were with my shoulders. And by feeling that in my shoulders and noticing that I was a bit tight there, it allowed me not to go into the full range that I'm normally in. Now, it's not going to be a problem because I'm prepping myself and I'm going to make sure that I'm good and ready for that full range of motion later. But as I mentioned, the prep and going slow there allows me to be able to adjust accordingly. So this helps me to be able to change position to match what my body's telling me. In other words, I'm not forcing anything. And like all the moves before crab, when I pause, I'm getting information. I'm asking myself, can I support myself comfortably on both sides? Where do I feel restriction? What needs attention before I start flowing through transitions on one arm? I might explore a bit of my range of motion, but only after I know that I'm ready for it. And that's why I keep things small and controlled in the beginning. So remember, this is prep. And like I said, I'm just trying to find out what I'm working with today. Now later in my locomotion flow, I'll be pushing myself in these same positions with rotation, weight shifts, dynamic transitions. And thanks to my prep, I know I'll be able to handle that and safely push myself with more challenging variations and intensities. Now, please remember that your warm-up shouldn't just be a junk drawer filled with random exercises. So prep your body using the moves you'll do in your workout. Now, for me today, that was bear, monkey, frog, or crab. And that's because I'm doing those locomotion flows later. And that's what makes a warm-up useful instead of something that you just skip. So to help you learn how you can start to do that, we've got a free resource called the Mobility Boost. All you need to do is go to the link in the description, download that, and it'll help you build the ranges and positions you actually need for the movements that you care about.